All right, so today we're just going to do a little review on rounding. I know that that's something that we're going to be seeing a lot more of in our Get More Math problems, and I just want to make sure we're in a good place. So the first thing that I want to bring up is that right here, here is a diagram of the place value chart. So it goes ones, tens, hundreds, this way getting bigger, but also tenths, hundreds, thousands, 10,000 getting smaller. And we're going to spend a lot of time rounding decimals in 7th grade. And so that's what our focus is going to be on today, rounding to the ones and then rounding decimals. It might be also a great idea to write down in your notes. So write down right now that the ones place is the same as whole. So just it'll talk to rounding to a whole number. So write down the word whole right here to remind yourself that ones and whole are the same thing. Now, you hear me say often, hey, 5 and above, give it a shove, 4 and below, just keep it down low. Well, here's our rounding roller coaster that reminds us of that. Just a little bit different. 4 or less, it stays the same. 5 or more, go higher by 1. So there are 6 examples on this review that we're going to kind of look at together to remind us how to round. So we're going to round this number to the nearest whole number. And what I like to do is I like to find that whole number. We said that that's the same as the ones place. I like to underline it with my pencil or marker or whatever. Then I'm going to look at one number past. I always give that a little circle. This number right here, this number 1 decides how this place is going to round. So I look at it and say, oh, it's a 1. I know that if it's 5 or above, I give it a shove. 4 and below, and 1 is below 4 or below, then I'm going to keep it down low. I'm just going to not do anything else. I'm not going to make this a 52. This is just going to be 51. And the rest of this stuff is gone. Goodbye. Once I've rounded it, I don't need all of the extra decimals. So looking at the next one, it says to round this number to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to underline the tenths place. You underline the tenths place as well. And I'm going to circle the hundreds place, the one right next to it, because he decides if it rounds up to a 5 or stays at a 4. And since it's a 0, 4 or below, 0 is below, it's going to keep it as a 4. And then that's it. This is my answer. All of the other decimals are gone. This is what I'm going to round it to. Round this number to the nearest whole number. So again, I'm going to underline the whole number spot. I'm going to circle the number right after it and decide, is the 7 going to round this up to a 3 or keep it as a 2? Well, 5 and above. Oh, 7's bigger than 5, so it's going to round it up. 183. And again, all these other stuff here, goodbye, gone. Round 167.27 to the nearest tenth. All right, well, here's my tenths place. I've underlined it. I'm going to circle the spot behind it. It's a 7. 5 and above. Oh, that's right. We said that in the last problem. 7 is greater than 5. And so this 7 is going to round this to a 3. 167.3. All right, so some of the examples that you're going to see in Get More Math especially are problems more like this, where it's going to be a two-stepper. We have a fraction that we need to convert to a decimal, and then we need to round it. So in order to convert it to a decimal, I'm just going to do 6 divided by 7, because I remember that this fraction bar also means divide. So in my calculator, 6 divided by 7, I get 0.857142857. This whole long string comes on my screen. Well, I only care about the nearest hundredth. Tenths, hundredths. So I want 2 decimal places. So I'm going to underline the hundreds place. And now that I've got the hundredths place underlined, I'm going to look the number right next to it. It's a 7. So that 5 or above, yep, 7 fits in that category of being 5 or above. I'm going to round this up so the 5 turns into a 6, making my answer 0.86. And all the other stuff gone. Goodbye. Last one. Convert 2/9 to a decimal. We're going to round to the nearest hundredth. So again, in my calculator, 2 divided by 9. And when I do that, I get 0.22222. And I see that it's just going on and on and on, dot, dot, dot. Well, I need to round it to the hundredth. So that's right there, the 2 decimal places. I look here, one more behind it, and decide if it's going to round this up to a 3 or keep it as a 2. Well, 2 is in the 4 or below category, so it's going to keep it down low. It's not going to do anything to it. My answer is 0.22.